Hey everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Alicia Elizabeth and I am so excited that you've decided to join me here for another Wealthy Wednesday. If this is your first time on my channel, I want to invite you to subscribe after you watch this video all the way through and like what you've heard. If you are a returning wealthy person, hey boo hey. I'm so happy both of you all are here today. Go ahead and grab a snack, get comfortable. We have a ton of things to discuss. The last video that we talked about, I don't know about you, but I woke up feeling wealthy. The last video that I uploaded was 2 weeks ago. I want to apologize for missing last week. And because of that, I am going to upload another video by Saturday so that we can keep to the amount of weeks that we're on this journey, matches the amount of videos that are being uploaded. And so last week, or the last video that I uploaded, we talked about general budgeting. Today we are going to continue in that discussion, but it'll be a little different and I think it will be super helpful. Before we dive into that, I do want to tell you all that I have shared that the blueprint of, getting out of debt, obtaining wealth, saving, all of that, fixing our relationship with money would be Dave Ramsey's book, but that I will be pulling from multiple sources, which I have been. And so today's book of choice that we will be pulling from is this one. It is the 21-Day Financial Fast from Michelle Singletary. I think I'm saying her name right. She is located in Maryland, if I'm not mistaken. And I first found out about this book from my friend Tanika. Shout out to her if she watches this video. Check her out as well. She has all things wellness on Instagram. She has a lot of great content. I think you're gonna love what she's been working on. She posted this and in typical fashion, I screenshotted it. There's certain people that when they share stuff, you just, the sources are trustworthy, in my opinion. And so when she shared it, I was like, okay, let me check that out at some point in time. And so I've had this book throughout the duration of the quarantine, and I've been reading through it. And there's this one day in the fast that, I almost got rid of the book because it got on my nerves. And I almost moved out of my apartment. My inner circle will be able to tell you that the information that she provided on this day, let me see, it's day 7 of the 21-day fast, financial fast, made me want to move out of my apartment and start roommating, right? Because the information was so helpful, but it was just like, what do you do with this? I'm one of those people that once I know better, I struggle to unlearn it, or that. I guess that didn't work. Once I learn something, okay, let's make it black and white. If I know I can get an item for a cheaper price, even if it's I missed the sale window, I struggle to purchase it at any other price. Anybody else like that? I can't unsee it, right? So she has this chart in the book, which is called Suggested Percentages for Major Budget Items. So let me explain before I show you the visual. Okay, and I'm all over the place, but I hope you can follow me. This video should not be long. So now that we've been working, saving aggressively, doing our emergency fund, and now we're saving, now we're paying off debt, I noticed that I'm okay, I don't want to teach myself to not spend money, but now I'm what do I do with the money that I'm working so hard for, right? Because here's why this is my question. In my research, because I told you all I'm doing research behind the scenes, right? I'm pulling different resources. There are people who have gotten out of debt, and the way they've done it has been exhausting, and they've depleted themselves. So I know that I don't want to do that route. I've told you all the same thing. Allow yourselves to have an allowance and budget for that Chipotle or whatever it is, so that your relationship with money can change gradually and it doesn't feel like you're on punishment for 2 years, or it doesn't feel like money is only for paying off debt, right? So I'm okay, I have this large number for debt and I'm bringing in what feels like a small number of extra income. And the reality is, since I'm trying to change my relationship with money, my desire to go shopping or to sometimes splurge on something extra hasn't left me, right? But my awareness of how money works is changing. My awareness of how deep I'm in debt is now on my forefront. So instead of buying, you know, it seems small in theory, right? Like, so instead of getting this, and I use Chipotle because that's just what I've been craving. Instead of buying this $7 Chipotle bowl, I could put $7 towards my student loans. Like, that's the process we struggle with. Instead of buying myself some new shoes, though I need them, I should, you know, put it towards this debt. And I don't want that tension to happen, as much as I'd rather us have extra income and it is scheduled to go to different places. So hypothetically, if I only bring in $100 more per month and I'm trying to get some new shoes, I want to teach myself, you have to put aside $10 for the next 10 months to get these $100 shoes. That seems hard, I know, because we're used to instant gratification, but this is how we change our relationship with money. So after I reached my emergency fund, I looked at my credit report, and I told you all that I got one of my credit accounts that was in collections removed and paid it off, whatever, you know, spoke with them. They cut me a deal for 50% off. I was like, okay, the next portion of my debt is the student loans and, you know, other things like that. And I'm like, but it's such a big number. Like, that's how I felt. I kind of was like, yeah, who's reaching $53,000 this year? Like, it almost felt like, okay, we can't use the same tactic. And the goal of this series is not just to pay off debt. It is to pay off debt, build wealth, and have a better relationship with money. There are like 3 major things happening here. And so I was like, I cannot just see my extra income as going to debt, because I'm going to feel like I don't see it. I don't see the money, right? So I've been wrestling with that during the month of August and like the remaining days of July since having met my emergency fund amount. And this came back to mind because I know I'm all over the place. Just follow me. I was trying to make decisions, even down to should I renew at my current apartment. So, she has this chart. I'm going to show you her chart in the book. I hope this isn't illegal. And then I made a chart for you all, right? Because, you know, I love y'all. But basically, she says, do you know what percentage you should be spending in a place to live? Okay, now I live in Ohio, and in my opinion, there are some affordable apartments out here. If I'm going to keep it all the way 100 with you, when I first moved to Columbus, I was paying $425 in rent. I will say that the quality of that neighborhood and that apartment reflected what I was paying, but I'm from Washington, D.C., where apartments are 4 times that amount, okay, and will be in the same kind of hood, okay? She says, in general, you should not spend more than 30% of your take-home pay on housing. That, of course, is an ideal situation. However, I know that in high cost of living areas, people may spend 40 to 50% of their net pay on housing. But when you begin to reach those percentage levels, it becomes difficult, if not impossible, to save and invest. If half of your pay is going to this one expense category, then you have to do something to bring that percentage down. Get a roommate, earn extra income, or move. I know that's easier said than done, but unless you do something to keep your spending in various areas in line with certain percentage ranges, you will always be broke. So when I read this section, I was like, yo, I'm overwhelmed, because am I paying too much in rent? Am I paying too much for food? Am I paying too much in utilities? And the reason why I was ready to throw this book and move into an apartment and roommate with a stranger was because I did not have any confidence in what I bring home. I did not know where my money was going. Like, I had money. I'm not struggling. I wasn't struggling. Thank you, Jesus. But I was like, based on her numbers, I could possibly be paying more than I should for my rent. Okay? And so this may startle some of you, but if you've made it to this point in this video, we're probably going to talk for another 3 to 5 minutes, but I want you to take a moment, and the first thing you need to ask yourself before you can apply these numbers is, what do I bring home every month? Okay? The reason why this was so helpful was because in my last video, I told you how to budget, but this is a more concrete idea of what you should be allotting to each category. So that means, let's say I start bringing in 10K a month. What a lot of people do is they'll take that 10K and they will change their lifestyle to match this consistent 10K that's coming in. But this percentage budget provides you with a ballpark of how much you should be spending based on what you bring in, right? So yes, you have 10K coming in, but that doesn't mean that you should be living in a 9K apartment, because that is over the percentage that you should be spending so that you can hit everything in your necessity list. Okay, I hope that makes sense. I'm gonna say it one more time and then I'm gonna show you the chart. The last video we talked about a budget. So that's taking your income and distributing it, making sure you can pay everything. Okay, cell phone bill is this much, clothing bill is this much, restaurant bills is this much, food is this much, and I have enough. This budget is showing me, yes, I can afford to spend $250 eating out, but based on what I bring in, should I be spending $250 to eat out? And am I able to hit on major items such as saving and investing? Okay? All right. Y'all know I bang with y'all, right? Because look at this. This is a lot. But I want us to win. I really do. I want us to win. And for people who watch the videos, I pray that this helps you, because you know that's the goal. So this is her chart. It says suggested percentages for major budget items. And I'm just gonna go through the whole thing. Over here we have the categories that she mentions. In the middle we have the percentages in which it should range. She says based on where you live, it will vary. So for my people who live in DC, New York, California, it may be a little more for your category. But let's be clear, in those areas you also should be making more. So I feel like while the percentages will be a little bigger, your take home should be a little bigger, so it balances out. Okay, I've created a fake monthly amount based on my viewers, which from my understanding so far are a lot of single, mid-group, 20s to 30s, maybe 20 to 40s. You may have kids, you may not, but go ahead and find out what your take-home amount is. I'm not a math teacher, so I did go to Google and I typed in what is 10% of 2,500. Do that. Take the time to do this with your monthly take-home and see if you are overspending in the area, because what she suggests is that means another area has to be cut, taken down, or you have to bring home more money. So this is also a great way to determine if you need to pick up a part-time job or have a side hustle, because ends aren't meeting because either an area is being overexhausted or you're not bringing home enough. Okay, so if you brought home $2,500 a month, this is what your numbers would look like. I did not add these up because she gave us ranges, right? So for instance, let's say you do give, but you give on the lower end. I don't want to add this up and then try to see if it gets me to 2,500, because that's not the goal of this list. So the category, the percentages, the blue is the lower end, the red is the higher end. So if I brought home $2,500 a month and I was a tither, I would give $250 of my income to church. Sometimes we don't know how much to give. And I'm not just talking about in church. I'm saying to charities, donations, to people who need help. But this would be a safe range. Anywhere between 50 to 250 would be the amount that income of this amount would give. Then you have, and some people don't give at all. So they have freed up $250 right there. Then you have savings and investing. I love the order of this chart as well, because it kind of helps you see like importance, like the order of importance of things too. So when I saw this, I was like, okay, in my head, a goal that I would like to have is to have a savings of 10% and an investment of 10%. So that might mean I need to bring home more money per month to meet that goal. Just put it out there. Housing, 26% to 36%. So again, before I knew my monthly income, I was like, I think I'm paying way more than 36% for where I live. And then, you know, you sit down and you look at your money and you're like, oh, okay. Food. This helps you determine your grocery bill. So anywhere from $300 a month to $750 a month. You have utilities. So this is gas, water, electric, depending on where you live and what you're being charged for. Anywhere from $100 to $200. Look at the percentages as well. Transportation. This is for public transportation, your car note, anything that gets you from point A to point B. You should be spending $150 to $375 per month, which I'm just going to tell you all, out of all honesty, when I was in undergrad, I worked about 3 jobs and my car note was higher than this because I didn't know better. Thankfully enough, I never missed a car payment, but I didn't know better and I didn't have enough people to sit me down to explain my choices and what I could do. And in addition, I needed my car. So I don't regret it, but I wish I was more informed because I wouldn't have agreed to it. That did not include car insurance, okay? Thankfully, my car is paid off now, so it's no big deal. Medical, so that's dental, health insurance, things like that, anywhere from $100 to $250 a month. Child care, if this applies to you, anywhere from $150 to $400 a month. Non-mortgage debt, anywhere from $125 to $250 a month. I want to pause right here for 2 seconds. What's so important about this is that Dave Ramsey's challenge or his steps is that you are attacking your debt aggressively, which means in his teaching, everything else stops until you are debt free. He doesn't believe that you should be eating out, you should be shopping, and I get that, I really do. But this channel is not bashing Dave, but I want us to change our behavior with money so that when we come out on the other side of being debt free, we still have some self-discipline and we don't feel like, oh my goodness, the past 3 years I haven't had Chipotle. Now I'm gonna go buy Chipotle for a month. Like, no. Everything should be done in a way that creates a behavior change. So I love this percentage because what it tells me is how much of my income I should be throwing at my debt. And then of course you want to look at how long will it take you to be debt free if you do throw that amount. But with this amount per month, if I was to bring in, let's say, another $1,000, I can choose to throw a little more at my debt. But if I didn't bring in another dime, this is the amount that I could comfortably afford, anywhere between $125 to $250. And then lastly, you have clothing, which she says is anywhere between $100 and $250, and recreation, which is anywhere from $50 to $200. Okay, so that's the chart. Hopefully that helps you a bit. I want you to really sit down, find out how much you bring in per month. And the first step is to assess if you are overspending in an area. The things that shocked me the most, I told you all, was like the rent, but food. Prior to seeing this list, I had already given myself a budget and I saw that I was right within the bracket. I was actually on the lower end. Utilities, I would say I'm like right in the middle. Transportation, lower end, things like that. This was really helpful to assess where my money is going and if I'm living in an area that I can afford, if my lifestyle is something that I can afford. I think that's what this helps do. Okay? Let me know if this was helpful. Let me know if you are like experiencing the shock that I initially experienced. Let's talk about it in the comments below. I'll probably upload this chart on my website so that you all can look at it without me moving it around. So if you haven't already, check out my blog at www.aliciaelizabeth.com. You want to go under Alicia-elizabeth.com. You want to go under the tab that is about wealth, and you should be able to see this. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe and share this video. I'll see you all in the next Wealthy Wednesday, wealthier than you are today. Bye. Oh, get into the green. Get into the green. All right.